There's a battle inside you, one you've been fighting for years, without ever naming it. It shows up as self-doubt, sabotage, anxiety you can't explain. You call it overthinking, procrastination, maybe even failure. But what if it's something deeper? What if those feelings are not flaws, but messages? What if your inner demons aren't here to destroy you, but to show you what still needs healing? This isn't about being broken. It's about finally listening. Because the moment you face what's hiding in the dark is the moment you become unstoppable. Ever wondered what lies beyond the surface? Religion, philosophy, science, life's biggest mysteries. At Sleepless Minds, we dive into the unknown and challenge the answers. Like, subscribe, and join the quest for truth. The journey to understanding starts now. Sleepless Minds, dare to question. Chapter 1. Naming the Beast. Every story of transformation begins with a revelation. Not a lightning bolt from the sky or a booming voice in the clouds. No, true revelation is quieter. It's the moment when a person sits with themselves, truly sits and dares to ask, "What is it that haunts me?" It may seem like a small question, but it's not. It's one of the most courageous acts a person can perform. You see, inner demons don't always look like monsters. They don't come at you screaming with glowing eyes and forked tongues. No, they wear masks. They come softly. Sometimes they sound like your own voice. They hide in your thoughts, in your habits, in the lies you tell yourself to fall asleep at night. And they are very good at staying hidden until you name them. The power of naming. In ancient times, to know something's name was to hold power over it. Naming wasn't just identification, it was command. A name meant understanding, connection, control. And it still does. That creeping fear in your chest when you enter a room, that isn't just nervousness. It might be social anxiety. That voice that says you'll fail before you've even started, that isn't realism, it's self-doubt. That deep-rooted feeling that no one really loves you. Not really, not if they saw the real you. That's shame, or fear of abandonment, wearing your face. When you don't name these feelings, they become fog. You can't grasp them, can't fight them, can't change them. But the moment you say their name, the fog begins to part. You shift from being haunted to being a hunter. The first encounter. Let's imagine a woman named Lena. Lena is successful. She has a good job. She's funny. People like her. On the outside, everything seems fine. But Lena never lets anyone get too close. Not really. She sabotages relationships right when they start to matter. She calls herself independent and guarded, wears sarcasm like armor. But one night, sitting alone with a bottle of wine and a memory she hasn't thought of in years, she hears it. A whisper from the past. "You're unlovable. Remember? That's what your dad taught you when he left." And suddenly, she sees it. Not just the pain, but the shape of it. Its name. Abandonment. That night, Lena doesn't banish her demon. She doesn't heal. Not yet. But she sees it. She says its name. And something powerful shifts inside her. How to find their names. So, how do you name your demons? You start with silence. Not the kind of silence filled with scrolling and background noise and half-listened podcasts. The kind of silence that invites the soul to speak. Step 1. Sit. Just sit. No distractions. Set a timer. 5 minutes, 10, 20. Let your mind wander. Let it ache. Step 2. Ask questions. What emotion do I avoid the most? When do I feel most unlike myself? What thoughts show up uninvited? What fear lies beneath my anger? What patterns keep repeating in my life? Step 3. Write what comes, without judgment. Don't try to sound wise. Don't try to make it pretty. You are not writing for Instagram. You're writing for truth. Your list might look like this. Fear of failure. Shame about my body. Belief that I don't matter. Guilt about being successful. Anger that I pretend is confidence. These are names, not just words, but spells. You are casting light into the darkness. Why we resist naming them? Let's be honest. Naming your demons hurts. It's easier to say, "I'm just stressed," than to admit, "I'm deeply lonely." It's easier to say, "I have high standards," than to confess, "I'm terrified no one will love me if I'm not perfect." Why? Because names are gateways. When we name something, we must acknowledge its impact. We must trace it back to its origin. And sometimes, that means reopening wounds we thought were long healed. But here's the truth. The wound is already there. Naming it doesn't reopen it, it just allows it to finally breathe. The myth of the demon slayer. You might be hoping this chapter ends with a triumphant moment where you rise with sword in hand, victorious, demons vanquished. Not yet. This is not the chapter where you defeat the demon. This is the chapter where you meet it, where you sit across from it, candle flickering between you, and whisper its name. And the moment you do, something shifts. You see it not as some untouchable evil force, but as a hurt, twisted part of you that formed out of pain, out of defense, out of fear. You realize it's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. But it's time to learn a new way. Your practice, the demon naming ritual. Tonight or tomorrow, if that feels more manageable, do this. Light a candle or turn off the lights and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale slowly. Speak out loud the emotions or patterns you've been hiding from. Say their names, one by one. Thank them. Yes, thank them. Say, "I see you. I know you were trying to help, but I am choosing something new." Do not expect transformation in that moment. Expect truth. Truth is the soil where healing grows. Now that you've opened the door, it's time to take a deeper look at what stands behind it. Let's step into the next stage of the journey into the mirror itself, where we explore not just what your demons are, but why they exist. Chapter 2. The Mirror's Reflection. There is a moment after you've named the demon when silence falls. Not the silence of peace, but of revelation. A heavy, intimate quiet that hangs in the air like fog. In that silence, you begin to understand something unsettling. The demon didn't come to destroy you. It came to protect you. That shame that chokes your voice before you speak up in a meeting, it formed to shield you from humiliation. That icy numbness when someone tries to get close, it arrived the day you first felt abandoned, promising you'd never feel that helpless again. Your inner demons, those shadowy presences you feared, loathed, and tried to outrun are not monsters in the traditional sense. They are mirrors. They reflect your wounds. And they've been guarding those wounds ever since. The truth hidden beneath the fear. We're taught to fear the parts of ourselves that feel ugly, weak, unacceptable, the rage, the jealousy, the bitterness, the panic. So we exile them. We push them down, dress them up, deny their existence. And yet, they never truly leave. You can't bury what isn't dead. You simply build a life around the burial ground. But beneath every demon is a truth, and beneath every truth is a need that was never met. Let's say you carry a deep, invisible anger. You're not proud of it. You cover it up with smiles. Force yourself to be agreeable. Pretend everything's fine. But that anger? It's the ghost of a younger you, the version that wasn't allowed to say no, the child who learned that their needs were too much, too loud, too inconvenient. That version of you started carrying anger because no one else would carry your pain. The anger isn't the problem. The silence that created it is. Seeing the guardian in the demon. This is where things begin to shift, not just in your mind, but in your body, your breath, your life. When you realize your demon is a guardian, your relationship to it changes. You stop fighting it. You start listening. Take the inner critic, for example. That harsh voice that tells you you're not trying hard enough, that you're lazy, that you'll never be good enough. On the surface, it seems cruel. But go deeper. When did it start speaking to you? Maybe it began the year your parents divorced and everything felt unstable. Maybe it was your way of staying perfect to avoid being left. Maybe it believed, in its own warped way, that if you just tried harder, you could avoid the pain. The critic was trying to protect you from rejection. The overachiever was trying to win you love. The anxious planner was trying to keep you safe. These parts of you aren't the enemy. They're soldiers from old wars. Wars you didn't choose to fight. The inner family. Understanding yourselves. You are not just one person. You are many. Inside you is a cast of characters, some loud, some quiet, some long forgotten. Psychologists call this the multiplicity of self. You might call it parts work, or inner child healing, or shadow integration. Whatever name it goes by, the idea is simple. You have different parts within you. Each one learned to behave in a certain way to keep you alive, loved, and accepted. And each one still believes it's doing its job. The perfectionist, the rebel, the cynic, the pleaser, the angry child, the avoider. They're not broken, they're tired. And they're waiting for someone new to finally see them, to stop rejecting them, to ask, with curiosity instead of judgment, "What are you trying to protect me from?" That question can change everything. A mirror exercise. Meeting the inner guardian. Set aside 10 quiet minutes. No music, no distractions. Just you, a mirror, and a notebook. Sit with your reflection. Look into your own eyes. Hold the gaze. Ask, what part of me has been trying to protect me? Let the first answer arise. Don't argue with it. Don't analyze it. Just receive it. Write a letter not to yourself, but from the guardian part. Let it speak. You might be surprised by what comes through. The critic may weep. The pleaser may beg for rest. The avoider may reveal terror. Let them speak. Let them be. This is the beginning of integration. From shadow to light. Carl Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That is what you're doing. By acknowledging your demons as parts of you, by seeing them clearly, listening deeply, you take your power back, not through domination, but through understanding. You're not ignoring the shadows. You're illuminating them. You're learning that the scariest parts of you are not wild beasts to be caged, but children to be held. You're remembering that healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes, healing is sitting still with the parts of you no one clapped for. What the mirror shows. When you look in the mirror now after naming your demon and seeing the guardian underneath you, begin to understand. Your inner world is not a battlefield. It is a house. And every part of you is knocking on the door, asking not to be banished, but to be brought inside. You don't overcome inner demons by shaming them into silence. You overcome them by becoming the kind of presence they never had before. Patient, curious, loving, a leader. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It simply reflects. And when you look into it, really look, you begin to see not just the wounds, but the healer. You. Now that you've seen your demons not as enemies, but as wounded guardians, the next question emerges. If they were born to protect you, what are they protecting? And to answer that, we must go deeper still, into the place where the pain was born. Chapter 3. The Hero's Descent. This is where many turn back. They've named their demons. They've peered into the mirror. They've made peace with the guardians of their pain. But now, the path leads deeper. Not into the demonot anymore, but into the wound. The original wound. The place within you where the world first broke its promise. The descent is not glamorous. There is no spotlight here, no applause. It is not Instagrammable. You will not look good, but you will become free. Because this is the only way to stop the cycle, the place where it began. There's a moment in every person's life when something goes wrong. For some, it was loud abuse, neglect, abandonment. For others, it was subtly quiet absence, an emotional disconnection, a love that only existed when you were useful or obedient or small. Whatever it was, it taught you something. You learned you were not safe. You learned you had to earn love. You learned vulnerability was dangerous. You learned silence kept the peace. And in response, you built armor, not just to protect yourself from others, but from ever feeling that again. That moment, that's the wound. Everything you've called a demon since that inner critic, that saboteur, that ghost of failure or fear or shamite, was formed in service to that wound. It's not about weakness. It's about survival. The descent isn't regression, it's recovery. The descent isn't about getting worse. It's about going back for what you left behind. When you descend, you're not falling. You're retrieving the voice you silenced, the needs you disowned, the tears you swallowed, the boundaries you abandoned. This is not passive reflection. This is active reclamation. You go back to the place of the wound not to relive it, but to rescue the version of you who never got to leave. The reparenting path. Healing means becoming the parent your younger self never had. It doesn't matter how good or bad your actual caregivers were. Every child needs something they didn't. Get emotional safety, encouragement, validation, consistent love. Now, it's your turn. Reparenting is the process of creating internal safety and support, over time, with care and consistency. You reparent by learning to speak gently to yourself, by recognizing when your nervous system is hijacked, by pausing before you react, by giving yourself what no one else could. That doesn't happen in a day. It happens in thousands of quiet moments, when you choose presence over panic, self-compassion over shame, practices that heal. Here are real, grounded, practicesmal rituals that shift everything. 1. Inner child dialogue. Each night, close your eyes. Picture your child's self, whatever age feels most tender. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask what they need. Say out loud, "I'm here now. I've got you." 2. Somatic awareness. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. Learn to track sensations. Where does fear live? Shame? Love? Practice placing a hand on your chest or stomach and breathing through the discomfort. You are teaching your body that you are no longer in danger. 3. Loving self-talk. Every time your inner critic speaks up, answer with your adult voice. Say, "I hear you, but I'm not going to speak to myself that way anymore." You are drawing new lines in the sand. 4. Rewriting the narrative. Journal the old belief. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up, and then write a new one beside it. Not one that lies, one that liberates. One rooted in truth you are learning to embody. I don't have to be perfect to be loved. I'm worthy because I exist. 5. Choose one daily ritual of care. It doesn't need to be big. Light a candle before bed. Make your tea slowly. Play music that makes you feel held. These acts, when done with intention, become sacred. They tell your nervous system, "I am not abandoned. I am here. You are the hero. After all." There is a reason myths and epics talk about the descent into the underworld. It's where the hero goes to gain wisdom, to confront the shadows, to retrieve the treasure hidden in the dark, not for the sake of staying there but to rise. You are that hero. But there's a truth many forget to mention. In those stories, the hero never returns as the person they were. They come back changed, wiser, softer, stronger. A person who has touched the center of their own soul and come back holding something no one can take away. Self-trust, self-love, self-leadership. You don't emerge spotless, you emerge whole. How to carry this into life? So what now? How do you take everything you've learned, naming your demons, seeing their roots, reclaiming the lost parts, and live differently? You integrate. That means, when the fear rises, you don't shame it. You sit with it. You say, "You're safe now." When the pattern returns, you don't call yourself broken. You recognize it as a call to pause. When the pain resurfaces, you don't numb it. You hold it. You walk with it. And when the moment comes to make a new choice, you take a breath and choose differently. This work is not a straight line. It spirals. You will revisit lessons. You will forget and remember and forget again. But each time, you descend less deeply. You stay down for less time. You rise more quickly. And eventually, you stop fearing the dark at all because you know you carry your own light. The light at the end. The light was never at the end of the tunnel. It was always inside you. It flickers in every moment you choose love over fear. It shines brighter every time you offer yourself grace instead of punishment. It grows in every small act of courage, getting out of bed, asking for help, saying no, saying yes, starting again. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not weak for having demons. You are human for having wounds. And you are extraordinary for daring to face them. This is not the end of your story. This is the moment the story finally becomes yours. The journey ends. The life begins. You've named your demons. You've seen what shaped them. You've gone into the heart of the pain and returned with the truth that you were always worthy of love. That healing is not becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. Walk forward now, not as a warrior in battle, but as a lighthouse. You don't need to fight your shadows anymore. You've become the one who lights the way.